Welcome to this Qualoupe class where we're going to look at validation of results and sample validation. This is the performing validation manually. There is an automatic setting for this which I shall refer to again later. So we're looking at the screen with some samples into which results have previously been entered. On this particular sample, all the results have been entered, so our status is set to C for completed. So the next stage after completed in the sample's life cycle is validated. So the way you validate a sample is not by validating it just by clicking on the status. You must validate the results. So I'll demonstrate this. So each result has got a status which shows you that it's been entered. If I click on the individual status, I have an option of validated or invalidated. So if I choose validated and save my changes, that result is now grey. It's locked down for editing, and I have assigned it a status of validated. The difference between validated and invalidated is you're just checking them over as an administrator, and you're looking at the result and saying, yeah, I'm happy that this looks like a reasonable result. In effect, you're checking for typos or obvious errors. It might be that a result is not bad in itself, but with your knowledge taken in conjunction with other results on the same sample, you might say, well, there's obviously something wrong here because that result can't be that if another result is a different value. So you're just checking over all the results and making sure that you think they've been entered, looking for typos, that sort of thing. So I can go down these one at a time and validate them. So it might be that you get a result such as the result for iron, and on the result for iron here you can see it's shaded in because it's broken a limit. So you might say, well, I'm not happy with that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flag that one as invalid, and I shall continue down validating the rest of them because I'm happy with them. Doing them one at a time can be a little bit slow. And finally that one. So all I'm saying is, oh, I'm not, that one, there's obviously something dodgy about that, so I'm just going to flag that as invalid, and that might be all you want to do with it. If I save the changes, you'll notice the sample is now locked down and cannot be edited. Everything's greyed out. And if I go to the top right-hand corner, you can see the status has gone to V. So the sample status automatically changes from C to V when every result has been given a validation status. So I did those all one at a time. If I look at another sample, this sample here, everything has passed, so I could go through them one at a time as I did before. But you might already have spotted in the middle we have validate all and invalidate all buttons. So if I click on validate all, everything gets a V status, save changes, so it's done in 2 clicks, validate all, save changes. Let's go and find another one. Okay, so let's find one with some fails on it. Here's one with some fails on it. Oh, that's already validated. Here we go. So I might decide, okay, I'm going to validate that. I'm going to validate that method, so the appearance method and the pH method, but I notice there's a fail in my metals method. So what I'll do is I'm going to set all of these to invalidated because I'm not happy with some aspect of the method. So I'm going to invalidate those and then send the method off to be repeated. I've just realized if I do all of them, it'll lock down the sample. If I go to Methods Manager, Add Method, I can now add that method again. Methods, continue, save, go back to results entry. I'll just invalidate these final two. You can see that the sample status has gone back to B because all the testing is not completed because I've added the metals method for a second time. So what I've done in this case is I have decided to accept the first result for the appearance method. I've decided to accept the result for the pH method, but because there was something wrong with that metals method, I've invalidated all of these, but I've added the metals method again. So in other words, this sample now goes back for more testing, and it might be that when it's retested the results come back and that one result that was broke the limits is shown to be an anomaly. It might have been a typo, or it might have been the result of some inaccurate testing. But you can use invalid to flag things. If I put some more results in here and then validated them, the sample would then go to status V again. So let's find one that's still status C. So in other words, I can click on them individually, validate them. I can validate the whole lot. I can invalidate them. You could also set a flag on a report, so you could say don't show me anything that's got a status of invalid. So anything that you flagged as invalid will not show up on your final report if you don't want it to. Now the same rules apply if the sample is status B. So here's a status B sample, so which means it's begun. So I can validate the results that have been entered so far. But if I try and validate an empty result, you can see I only have a choice of invalidating it. So if for some reason on this sample you didn't wish to do all the testing, you'd had a problem with your sample or your instrument or something, those were the only results you got, you could actually invalidate the blank results like this and validate only the ones that you've actually got. And once I've given every result a validation status of either invalid or valid, saved the changes, then the sample status goes to V. This is all in the sample manager. The other place you can do this is rather logically in results by method. So here's the results by method screen. So if I load the results for another one of these samples, exactly the same thing. I can individually validate. I have to reload it again now after that, I should think. Oops, not reloading, never mind. But I can individually validate the results, or I can validate the whole lot. So we've got the same buttons on here that you see in the sample manager. If you click on an individual result, you've got validate or invalidate, or you can validate all or invalidate all. Exactly the same as you have in the sample manager. So after the validation stage, when the sample is validated, it's locked down for editing. There is also, I'll mention it but I won't demonstrate it in this class, there is an automatic validation setting for the system. So if you enter a result and it doesn't break any limits, it will automatically achieve a V status. I'll be demonstrating that in a different video from this one. So for now I shall stop, and thank you very much for watching.